Fires one towards the goal. That's going to be gloved by Travis Ridgen. Well, this is more like it.
This is Slangin The Bizkit. Here's Travis Ridgen and Dave Wheeler.
Coffee's hot. Coffee's strong. It's as hot and as strong as it's going to be. I actually stole this mug from the Sutton Place Hotel in downtown Vancouver. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Long-term borrowed it.
Yes, I was planning on bringing it back, like Jack from Titanic.
Right, yeah.
Take it, Rose. What about the jacket? It was reported stolen this afternoon. I was just borrowing it. I was going to bring it back.
Just borrowing. I get in crap all the time because I'll go to the grocery store just to pick up a few things, and I'll bring the plastic basket home with me instead of putting it in a plastic bag. And she's like, "What are you doing? You can't do that." I'm like, "It's not like I'm not going back. Like I'll drop it off when I'm back there when we do a bigger load, and then we actually bring our recycling bags. But I'm not gonna use a I'm trying to save the environment here." I'm trying to save the environment. I'm doing it. You can't have it both ways.
Maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, I was living with my cousin. Like a small place like the ghetto of downtown Winnipeg, just off Victor Street. And same thing, I didn't want to pay for bags, so I would take the shopping baskets home with me. And there was one point outside of his back door where there was like 12 of these Safeway Superstore shopping baskets just stocked up. And he says, "Listen, you got to take these back. It's enough. It's enough. This isn't a landfill. I know it's Victor Street, but it's not a landfill."
You're like Bubbles from Wish.com.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say from Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah, from Trailer Park Boys, but instead of he would have the big ones, like the big carts. Remember, he would steal them and he would damage them and then fix them and sell them back to the grocery store. You would just take the little basket, so you're like a Wish.com version of Bubbles.
What an amazing show! Also based out of, I think he's from Halifax. The John Smith or Mike Smith. He's the actual actor for Bubbles.
He used to play in a Canadian band called Sandbox, and I believe he was. I can't remember if he was bass or guitar, but yeah, look up Sandbox, a song called "Curious" if you want to hear what Bubbles did before he was Bubbles.
I don't think there's anything that'll ever top "Scratch My Belly" or "Liquor and Whores." What an amazing tunes!
Liquor and whores. Classic stuff. For those Americans, you almost got Trailer Park Boys on HBO, but the hang-up was they wanted to move them into the United States trailer park instead of being in a Canadian trailer park. They're like, "No, it'll stay in Sunnyvale in Nova Scotia." And they're like, "It's not going to work for us." They go, "Fine, not going to work for us either. Peace."
Dude, what a shame Jim Lahey died. I told you the Trailer Park Boys show I saw with Randy at Christmas time in Detroit. It just was missing, Jim Lahey. I Am the Liquor. It wasn't the same without him. God rest his soul, Jim Lahey.
Amazing thing about him, wonderful man. Had him in studio a handful of times, and he's actually dry. He didn't actually drink. He hadn't had a drop of alcohol in close to 30 years, I think, but played a wonderful drunk on that show, like a professional drunk.
Well, apparently they took all the empty bottles, they filled them up with iced tea, and then obviously he would do the, Lahey, how drunk are you? 6 out of 10. Look at me, show. Rand. I'm mowing the air. Rand, I'm mowing the air.
If you get a chance, if you don't have access to it down in the U.S., find someone that can get access. It is an incredible show.
Real quick story for you here. When I was in Sweden my first year, my roommate, Shamu, he's from,
the ocean?
Hungary.
Okay.
No. His actual name was Shamu, and weird European name. Great kid, huge, monster D-man. But anyway, so he's from Hungary, and we're sitting around at home, and I was like, "You ever heard of Trailer Park Boys?" He's like, "No." I said, "Let's watch Trailer Park Boys," and I got him hooked. We crushed a couple seasons. A couple days later, he's like, "Come on, Trev, we got to watch seasons 1 through 4. We haven't gotten to 1 through 4," and he loves the Trailer Park Boys. He messages me every now and then. "Hey, I was watching Trailer Park Boys again. Thinking of you." What a show.
Dr. Jordan Peterson says that's one of his guilty pleasures is the Trailer Park Boys, for a guy who was one of the smartest thinkers of our time and loves the Trailer Park Boys when he wants to shut his brain off. And I think that's just that's amazing.
Hey, opposites attract. Almost kind of like you doing this podcast with me. You got the top morning show in the city of Winnipeg, have done for 20 years. You got this podcast where you keep me on the tracks and kind of keep my OCD and my ADD rolling, and it's opposites attract. It's an amazing combination.
Well, speaking of staying on the tracks, we got a lot to talk about today, boy. Holy smoke, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. I know that because we're recording here on a Friday and this is airing Sunday and you're probably watching it on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, the NHL playoffs have been nothing short of exciting. Like almost every single game has had some drama in it. And man, oh man, between Morgan Barron and Connor Hellebuyck spitting blood in the first couple of games of the series, boy, it's just it's been great. Connor Hellebuyck making some incredible saves, like keeping his team in it. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm biased. I'm in Winnipeg. It's snowing outside. If you don't know, we got a thing called the whiteout where everyone wears white to the games because this time of year we get snow sometimes, and we're getting a snowstorm right now. So it's all just falling into place. Saturday, Probably still going to have snow on the ground as of yesterday. If you're depending on when you're listening, I haven't seen the game on Saturday yet because it hasn't happened in my timeline, but I'm excited.
This is a true story. So I put the games on the TV on the iPad. I have my streaming services, and I watch games for free. And Victoria doesn't like the Jets. She's a Leafs fan because her dad, Shuttle J, loved the Leafs. It was a tough game one, and I let him know about it last night. I still haven't responded to his text about the game from last night. But anyway, the Jets games. So when they're doing the national anthem, I'm sitting here right on this couch, and I'm yelling at the TV, True North, during the anthems, and she just looks at me like, "What are you doing, you bozo?" And then I was telling her last night after the Hellebuyck save, that monster save on the goal line. What a save. And she just shakes her head at me because I'm just yelling at the TV all night, like, "Come on, Connor, I need a save out of you." Like, what are you doing? Like, as if like I'm there and he's going to hear me all the way in Vegas from here in River District, Vancouver. But yeah, she's getting a little bit annoyed with me. But anyway, I was telling her last night, if the Jets somehow find a way to win this series and go on to win the Stanley Cup, I want to fly home to Winnipeg for 2 to 3 days. You and me, Dave, we're going to go to the whiteout parade, whiteout party, whatever.
Yeah.
And I want to have a sign. I want a massive sign that says, "Connor Hellebuyck, I want to wear your skin to my birthday party." And I want to see if we can get his attention and or maybe his wife. That'd be great. Because again, I've sent his wife multiple messages on Instagram trying to get, flag her down. "Hey, congrats on the baby. Congrats on the Vesna. That's amazing." Nope, doesn't care. You know who's been great though? Mrs. Bufflin, Emily Bufflin. Shout out to her.
Yeah.
Responded to all my messages. Although we still can't seem to get a fishing trip lined up with Big Buff, but it would be nice if we could. But,
I had a guy by the name of Dan Mintz on the morning show this past week or a week before, and he's a stand-up comedian, and he also voices a voice in Bob's Burgers. Okay, Tina Belcher, who is the daughter. I don't know if you watch Bob Burgers or not. And he tells this joke in his stand-up, and keep in mind he's a very, very dry comic, and it reminded me of the way you're dealing with Hellebuyck is why do we have to put labels on everything? Like, why can't we just be two people that enjoy the same things, that spend a lot of time together, but instead you have to call it stalking?
Oh, okay, there we go. That didn't put two and two together, but there we go. Puck's off that. Story of my career. Over my head, into the net. Didn't see it.
Yeah,
but
completely gone. Listen, I do want to talk about something that is a big topic, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. Now, are you familiar with ChatGPT, this new AI that's kind of revolutionizing the way people use the internet? You're familiar with it?
I'm so familiar. Can I tell a quick 30-second story about how crazy this is? So Pascal, my goalie coach, I don't know if he wants me telling this, but so he's working on an app, on a pro goalie coach app, and ChatGPT is the pro goalie coach. And he was showing me this the other day, and he asked the thing. He says, "ChatGPT, please create a full off-season plan for fixing Travis Richard's game." And as fast as he said it, it just started spit-firing all these errors in my game. And it's not like they were like random things like stop the puck, catch pucks better. Like, it was detailed, like, meeting pucks in front with the stick with the middle of the blade type of stuff, getting the weight forward, dipping the chin. Like, it was so detailed. And I'm sure, Dave, as you've seen, like, it just spits off information. It's incredible. I couldn't believe what I was witnessing.
So it's not perfect yet, and I don't think it'll ever be because it's artificial intelligence. But what it, after it spits that out, you got to go in and double check it. You got to double check its work and go in and make a few edits here and there, which is pretty standard. But it is helpful. It is very helpful. I will give it that. But the idea of AI or robots, for simpler terms, taking over regular people's jobs has been a threat, for an existential threat for the last 40 years. We've been talking about this since the 80s, and it first kind of started when we had ATM machines, need less bankers. Got the automated checkout when you're going for your groceries, eliminating more people at the checkout. It's just been a steady slope, but now it's really kind of spiking to the point where it's actually invading my industry, an industry I thought it would never touch, but there are actually radio stations, including terrestrial radio and Spotify, who are launching these artificial announcers who are able to take scores, spit them out to you, make them sound like a professional announcer. Hey, last night the Toronto Maple Leafs won 7-2 over the Tampa Bay Lightning, blah, blah, blah. John Tavares had a hat trick. They can actually do all of that intuitively. And then I started thinking, is it possible that we could see AI take over athletics? And then I thought it almost kind of is. I mean, for the amount of pro leagues that NBA 4K has, or 2-4K, NHL, the new one there. I mean, there are pro leagues and people making money playing these types of games. And I thought, are we going to get to a point where they would rather watch that style of sport rather than the real thing?
That's a whole unloaded one. I was thinking more so in the sense of like replacing me and net with like artificial intelligence, like somebody more, smarter, more sophisticated. The computer just makes the saves for you, kind of like in NHL, like be a pro mode. I don't know. That's kind of scary to think of, because then I will be out of a job and out of a career and this podcast dies. So.
Well, and the reason, one of the big arguments with AI is, it allows people to do other things, whether they want to or not. But safety is a big one too. Like, for instance, Boston Dynamics out there on the East Coast, they've created Atlas, the robot, and they've created Spot the dog. And Spot the dog's been incredible on job sites. It's been incredible for bomb squads, for police. It's been incredible for going into locations that are unsafe, maybe a condemned building. Like, for safety reasons, really, really good, really, really smart. But in the same breath, is that something that could we see robots playing games? I mean, I know there's TV shows, Robot Wars, where people design robots and they go into a ring and stuff. I just wonder how far this is going to go.
Maybe robot referees. I mean, you got the whole Wes McCauley, Sheldon Keefe thing kind of popping off in the media. That was interesting when you started kind of doing some little digging on that. That I could see being replaced with some form of AI. As far as the players go, I don't know. Maybe you lose the emotion of the game. You get guys who, like a Brad Marchand, like, how are you going to teach a robot to lick somebody in the corner? You can't. Stuff like that.
You taste like batteries. That's because I am one.
You need an oil change. Well, you need a pair of Sheath underwear.
and I truly think that, at the core of it, athletics comes down to athleticism from a human being. And I understand that, and you understand that. But the second it started invading the broadcast industry, I thought, oh man, like, you're not going to get an AI to be able to do what Vern Lundquist did at the Masters when Tiger made that shot when the Nike logo hung on the line. And you go, what in your life have you seen anything like that? An AI can't do that. But the Masters actually had an AI doing a little bit of the play-by-play if you were watching on the app. Every once in a while, an AI would come in saying, and here's Matthew Fitzpatrick at hole number 6, 145 yards away, and he places it on the green. AI was actually able to watch that and recognize that. No one plugged that in. No one typed it in. The AI recognized who it was, what was happening, how far they had to shoot, and what the result was. I'm just saying.
A couple of people mentioned after the last golf talk you did with the whole Scotty Scheffler stuff and the Masters, that
so
people were enjoying the golf talk. Oh.
The most boring man in the world.
I don't know. People said they enjoyed your golf talk. I enjoyed it. I know nothing about golf. I'm a meat stick when it comes to golf. So maybe we can do a little golf to finish.
I'll take you. You had me at golf.
Every podcast we'll finish with some music talk, a little bit of golf talk, and the team at Sheath Underwear. We'll tell you about them right now because they're the presenting sponsor for this show.
Really quickly before you get there, I wanted to go back to the safety thing. The reason why I wanted to bring up the safety thing was, you see what happened to Morgan Barron in Game 1, where he got his face split up for like 75 stitches. It takes the whole safety thing out of the hockey players situation. It's like, well, we can keep them safer by not having them get injured this way, or have to go in for surgery on their hips. We can take that away. We can keep humans safer from now on. But also keeping safe is making sure that you have the right pair of underwear.
And it starts with the team at Sheath.com. It's as simple as that. And I know you've converted a lot of your friends. I have as well. My mother loves it. Victoria loves the Sheath underwear as well. Sheath is game changing, and I'll tell you why. They're bamboo mesh material. Once you put it on and you feel it, you never go back. It's cooling, especially the summer's coming up right around the corner. I know there's a mad snowstorm in Winnipeg, and we're going to be getting plus 23 here in Vancouver in a couple days. If you're awesome. If you're in Vancouver, you're going to need a pair of Sheath next week. If you're in Winnipeg, maybe around June or July-ish. But the bamboo mesh is incredible. The dual pouch, you put your boys, your twig, and your giggleberries, as Dave likes to call them, into separated, segregated compartments so that they're breathing, they're compartmentalized, and they're not sticking to the side of your leg. Trust me, when you upgrade your seat with Sheath, it's game-changing. And when you get rid of the whole bat winging on the side of your leg, gentlemen, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It doesn't get any better than that. And you can go to sheathunderwear.com. Use the code BIZKIT69, BIZKIT 69. Get your 20% off the best underwear money can buy. If you've tried some of the competitors, I promise you, and Dave can speak to it as well because he's lived it, you will never go back once you try on a pair of Sheath underwear. I promise you that.
It's true. It's an absolute game changer. It's leveling up, and especially for some of the dudes out there that are getting maybe up there in age, and they find that their junk's kind of doing things that it's like, my junk never used to do that. These are the perfect underwear for you. Trust me.
Speaking of game changing, should we go into talk a little bit about my surgery, meeting my surgeon back again, maybe 2 weeks ago, back on the ice, kind of the rehab little update there?
I would love to, because I know you were out on the ice yesterday, so I'm curious to hear how the progress is going.
Yes, this whole surgery process has been so interesting, and just like the fact that I've been learning so much about my body, specifically my right side, maybe not so much my left side. But so I went home to Winnipeg, I guess 3 weeks ago to go, meet my surgeon, get the X-rays updated, and I'll throw something on the screen here. And I think I might have sent to Dave as well, but just like the before and the after differences of what the X-rays looked like with the bone growth and the impingement to after when Doc took it down. Crazy. I feel it. I live it every day. The chronic pain is gone, and I was telling my agent the other day, even if when this is all said and done, that I'm 100% back skating on the ice, if I get zero benefits on the ice and the only benefit is just the chronic pain and the injuries are gone, 100% worth it. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I've also found too, it's amazing the amount of goalies that have been reaching out to me from, and I'm not going to drop names obviously because for medical reasons, but guys in the American League, guys in the East Coast League, a guy who's playing in the NHL last season asking for advice and this kind of stuff, guys over in the KHL in Russia, guys that honestly 10 times better goaltenders and better athletes than I am, but because nobody wants to talk about this hip surgery epidemic, there's nowhere to go for information. You can't find anything online. And, I guess you could say I'm spearheading this whole movement talking about what's actually going on to goaltenders. I mean, you got guys who are 15 and 16 getting hip surgery done because they're just getting so broken down, so worn down by today's game. I just find it incredible. And as far as...
Another argument for AI.
That they won't get hip surgery?
Right.
They won't...
Yeah, you put a robot in there.
Robot goalie coach, because then the robot would know when to push, when not to push, not destroy our goaltenders. Maybe that's
Is it more? Is it more from the practice or more from the games?
I think it's in the practice. I think it's guys just hammering the head, just constantly, and throwing their goaltenders into poor positions that are destroying the hips, and they have no regard for it because they're kids, they're young, they'll bounce back. Well, no. You're destroying your athletes. That's why your kid or your one goalie just got surgery at 15, at 16. It's why I should have gotten it 5-6 years ago. And the only reason I got it was I was at the point where I physically couldn't do it anymore. I had no gas left in the tank, and it was you quit hockey because you can't do it anymore, or you get the surgery. So that was a no-brainer for me. But for guys like this one guy who played in the NHL last season, he says to me, "I needed it done on both hips, dude. I'm 6'6". I'm just getting destroyed." By these impingements, and I want to get both hips done. And I'm like, dude, if you're getting both hips done, you might as well write off a year. Like that's a tough rehab process. Obviously, he's going to a very specific country to get it done, where they will do that. Make you kind of read between the lines on that one. But as far as me goes, coming back on the ice, things were super tight from my first skate back 3 weeks ago. Just tight in the hips, tight in the groin. Everything was just like locked up. And I thought that I did a really good job opening things up and gaining more mobility as the rehab went on. And I thought on the ice would be better than it was, but it wasn't. And then last week, things opened up a little bit. And then last night, made some changes over the previous week, and things felt a lot better, a lot looser, a lot more mobile. I'm still not where I want to be. And we still have about 4 to 8 weeks before I'm 100%. But I'm going into butterflies, making saves comfortably, sliding, not feeling great yet. Obviously, post transitions and stuff, that's gonna be like the last thing we do. But overall, just learning a lot about my body. I'm not having to go in 2 hours early to warm up the tractor. Although I am physically going in 2 hours early, but now I go in, I take a nice hot shower, kind of get everything warmed up. I go fill up my water bottle. I tighten up the laces, tighten up all the screws in my mask. I take my sweet time where I'm only warming up for 45 minutes an hour as opposed to 2 hours before. And my goal is to get it down to like 30 minutes, where I can just come in, 30-minute warm up, ready to go on the ice, no problem, no pain. And I'm not using all the acid creams on my legs to get them going, where I'm like bubbling them off my skin so that I can't feel the pain anymore. Like that's amazing too. But things are going really well. And also shout out to my trainer, my new trainer, John, at Level 10 Fitness in North Vancouver. He trains, funny enough, to 2 episodes ago. Jansen Harkins, his dad cut me in the Prince George Cougars. Well, John trains Jansen Harkins himself at Level 10 in the summers, and countless other guys. I mean, they got like Martin Jones's jersey up on the wall. They got Griffin, Reinhardt. They got Ryan Kessler. They got so many jerseys on the wall. It's crazy. So many Olympians, so many athletes. But
is yours going up there?
Oh my God, I don't think so. I really don't think so.
Do we even know what jersey would go up? Oh, by the way, speaking of surgery real quick, I'm pretty sure we have a Patreon member that's going through a pretty gnarly surgery here that we wanted to send a shout out to, didn't we?
Yes, shout out to the Patreon members as always. Your support makes this podcast possible, but specifically Justin Halbersman, he's getting a tumor removed, I believe today, the day of recording this podcast. So my friend, we are thinking of you. We are hoping for the best for you and hoping that you have a great recovery from getting that tumor removed. And yeah, as always, it's tough, but we're here for you, my friend.
Absolutely. Yeah, so speaking of which, if say they were to put up a jersey, what jersey would even go up there? Are you still a Motor City Rocker?
Yes, so that's a That's interesting. It depends on the rule book that we go by based on the day that we're making decisions on. But so as of right now, of April, May of 2023, the Motor City Rockers still own my rights, and they have, obviously I'm season-ending injured reserve, and they will own my rights until the expansion draft comes. Now, previous to that, they're going to have to make a decision. Who do they want to protect? Do they not want to protect? And it's not like there's one goalie, 3D, 5 forwards. It's, I believe, 13 players. You can protect whoever you want. And then whoever's not protected is open up for the expansion draft. And I've had lots of people asking me, both in my circle and just people in the online realm asking, do you think they're going to protect you? And the answer is, I don't know. The problem is when you play with the best goalie in the league, there's a catch-22 to it, because as I've documented and said many times before, I sound like a broken record, Trevor Babin is the best goalie in the FPHL. I've seen him day in, day out. He doesn't give up shitty goals. He's just a freak human being. Simple as that. Now, he's so good that he should be in the SPHL, shouldn't be in the Fed. So as the Motor City Rockers, maybe you don't protect him because he's going to go up to the SP and never come back down. So why would you waste protecting him? Also, maybe he doesn't get that offer. Maybe he comes back in the Fed next season. So you got to protect the best goalie in the league. So there are so many things that could happen with that. I don't know. And that is the first component of that. And so let's say they protect me, then I'm Motor City property and they would have to sign me, or I guess I don't have a team. I don't know. Again, it's going to depend on the rule book they use that night.
And what's the timeline on the expansion draft? When does that happen?
So the expansion draft is supposed to be end of May. Now, the Baton Rouge team is officially confirmed. They're locked in. They're going to be in the FPHL next season. They're on the official website. The team in Wyethville, Virginia is unofficially official. They're not officially locked in by the league, although they did come in hot the other day. And shout out to the whoever's running the Wyethville, Virginia Pro Hockey Facebook page. They posted a picture of one of the Watertown Wolves goalies, Owen Liskowitz. And the Watertown jersey is just a W. It's like the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, just blue and a W. And their first ever post was Wyethville, Virginia, where we're going to put wins on the scoreboard, not on our jersey.
That's clever. That's clever roasted. Marketing.
It's pretty smart. I did have a good chuckle at that. But so there's those two teams. And then also the Delaware Thunder officially lost their lease with the arena. So most of the teams in the FPHL, they don't own the arena. I think only 3 teams own the arena. The rest just lease it on a year-to-year, 3-year, or 5-year basis. And so they lost the lease. So they don't have any arena to play in. So they're most likely to be moving. I heard they're going to be moving to Pennsylvania, but with them just moving up and becoming basically a whole brand new team, you could open up a couple spots there for goaltenders as well. But that's not an expansion draft. That's just a team moving, so they're not a part of that equation. But so Baton Rouge or Wyethville would have dibs at me if they wanted to. And if they did, I become their rights. And last year, half the guys in the expansion draft got traded for something else. So maybe they pick up my rights, swap me to somebody else and get something back in return. Or they would attempt to sign me. And if they didn't, then I would become a free agent. But I was told after a certain period of time, I bounce back to Motor City property, and then I'm their property for 3 years up to the original signing date. So that would have been October of 22. So that would be October of 25. They would technically own my rights. And again, I don't know what's the actual protocol, because I can't seem to get a straight answer from anybody in management. But that is what it would appear to be. Europe is definitely an option. I know I've talked to my agent about this, is that I miss living in Sweden. I miss the European culture. I miss all that kind of stuff. But there's something about the Fed hockey. There's something about showing up to Watertown, New York on a Friday night, to Carolina, Winston-Salem on a Friday night, where you got 2,000 people screaming at you, nasty things. You got the guy in the toga, he's got no clothes on and a bullhorn. He's yelling things at you. The guys with the signs and everything, they want you to lose. And you come in on a Friday night, you pull off the win, and you leave with 2 points, or 3 points, I guess it would be. Like, that is just an intoxicating atmosphere, and I can't get enough of it, and I want to continue doing that.
Well, Baton Rouge doesn't have a team name yet, and I'm still lobbying for the Baton Rouge Red Sticks. And
I submitted that the other day. So they did an Instagram thing. Yep, they put an Instagram thing. Some people were like the Baton Rouge Battalions, the Baton Rouge Beast, the Baton Rouge Red Sticks, the Baton Rouge Batons. Yeah. That's what it's got to be called.
And it's funny because they're playing at the River Center, which is the arena they signed the 3-year lease with. If you look at the River Center's logo, it just looks like a big red stick, like a whole bunch of sticks laying on top of each other, and they're red. That'd be perfect. I mean, it's all falling into place. By the way, I want credit for that if that goes through. Fingers crossed for Baton Rouge.
Maybe we can fly out to it. That'd be awesome.
It's not far from New Orleans, man. I've been there before, and that's a great city. I love New Orleans.
I was thinking actually, I could take the train down to New Orleans. I could go. Depending on the road, I could go Vancouver, Toronto, Toronto, New York, New York to New Orleans, or Vancouver, Seattle, Seattle, New Orleans. They can get picked up and then go. That has crossed my mind. That'd be an amazing train journey. That'd be like a 5-day endeavor, but that could be a way to get down there.
That'd be a lot of fun.
It'd be a lot of fun. A lot of crawfish, a lot of deep fried alligator bites, a lot of gumbo.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Sandals. That's a big selling point, too. I would love to show up to morning skate, practice December 13th, and walk in shorts and flip flops. I would love that, and a beater, and just have, go get some sun after practice, and just hockey in the South. It doesn't get any better than that. But that's basically the update as far as what's going to be happening. I obviously won't keep the podcast up to date the second it happens. The vlog will follow shortly thereafter. But I'm just excited for a team that's going to give me an opportunity. I don't care where. I don't care if it's Watertown, if it's Elmira, Danbury, Baton Rouge, if it's in Hoboken, New Jersey. I don't care. If the team is willing to give me guaranteed 10 starts, give a genuine opportunity as the backup guy, I'll fill water bottles. I'll be the greatest cheerleader, gate opener you ever seen in your life, as I did last year or this season in Motor City. That is where I'm going to go. I don't care where. I don't care if I'm showing up in shorts and flip-flops in December or if I'm wearing a winter parka and ski pants. I don't care. I just want an opportunity to play and continue my career going because, and you said this on your morning radio show this morning, Dave, was, you see some guys signing, some guys not. You start thinking, did I miss the boat? Am I past my peak? Realistically speaking, I have no time crunch on any of this kind of stuff. Like a lot of guys in the Fed and in the SB, they do because they finish school, they're in debt for school, or maybe they got a scholarship to an extent, and then 29, 30 rolls around, the missus says, let's start life, let's start doing something, let's get a place, you know what I mean, let's actually get ahead in life and not live off a 125 a week in the Fed or 250 in the SB. And as much as it is nice to be getting paid, because I haven't received a paycheck from the Motor City Rockers since December of 2022, not upset about that at all. The YouTube and the podcast money is what's going to keep me somewhat afloat. Although it's not getting me rich anytime soon, but it keeps me comfortably doing, going along with this whole dream and what I love doing in hockey. So there's no time crunch. I can be patient. I can be a backup. I can work into roles and try to earn my playing time. And at the end of the day, like I'm going to accomplish my goals. It's just a matter of time. I'm going to be a starter in the Fed. My goal is to be a top 3 goalie in the FPHL next season, ideally. I'm going to get that backup job and work into the starting role and earn my playing time and prove my worth when I get that opportunity. Maybe it happens the following year, but that is my goal for next year, is to prove that Motor City made a mistake by not giving me any playing time, that I am a very good goalie at this level.
I think the benchmark you kind of want to set is, can I be a Joe Pace?
Can I be a trendsetter, an icon, and an absolute animal on and off the ice? By the way, I need to be very careful with my wording because I might get in shit for saying this. So, how do I word this? In Binghamton, New York, their leading scorer was suspended for the rest of the season after a domestic assault in February. Okay, we'll leave it at that.
Yep.
Leave it at that. None of my business.
Okay.
Joe Pace went on Instagram and said, along the lines of, I'm looking forward to playing this guy the next time he comes back into the league. Make sense?
I gotcha.
The league then suspended him 4 games for making that social media post.
Because they felt it was in a threatening manner, I'm assuming?
Now, I'm not going to speculate, but you can because you don't play in the league. But I'm assuming the league didn't want threats being made online. They didn't want people talking about this. And I want to just say for the record, because I talked to one of the players on the team the other day, any player that beats their wife, hits a woman, period, ain't welcome on the team, ain't welcome in the league. And one of the guys, actually, no, I can't.
That's a good rule.
I'll get suspended if I say
okay.
that. It's just not fine. It's not okay. I don't care what level you play. If you're playing in Russia, Sweden, the Fed, it is not okay. I understand, people get emotional sometimes, but that's not okay to do. And that dude should never, ever be allowed to play in the league ever again. Any pro hockey in North America, get him out, send him over to Russia or somewhere. I don't care. That is not okay to do that to your missus.
I think I think everyone deserves a second chance, and I think but there has to be a lot of reconciliation that goes in before that second chance happens.
There's details that I can't put on the podcast. Maybe we can at a different date that make me say there should not be a second chance. I'll tell you after we finish recording, Dave.
All right.
But just
I don't know the details on this at all.
I'll tell you later. I don't want to get in shit for putting this out to the public, but just you can't do stuff like that. That's ridiculous. You can't have guys, especially like at the end of the day, these are small communities that we play for in the FPHL, right? You know, the town of Fraser, small, Watertown, small. Binghamton is only, I think, less than 80,000 people. I could be wrong. So there's a heavy influence. You know, you're a big fish in a small pond in these markets, and you can't have guys in the team doing that, and that precedent is set in the community. You can't have that. Nobody's going to feel safe.
I was curious as to why Pace got suspended. I figured it was something that had to do on the ice, but wow, that's setting a precedent. I will say that.
Yeah, so I don't want to get suspended either. I don't want to have an active suspension for next year. So we're going to just blow past that, and we'll move on. Also, I want to give a shout out, very special shout out to my friend Ever Thompson, ET. He was with Motor City. Keep the politics out of it, but he was in it being traded to Binghamton, I guess January-ish or shortly after I left, and then ended up with the Watertown Wolves. Now, the final game for the Delaware Thunder was 2 weeks ago against the Watertown Wolves. Game goes to overtime, tied 4-4. ET goes, buries the outstretched leg of the goaltender, buries it, and the Celly that he did skates as hard as he can to the blue line. He rows the canoe all the way out of Delaware, out of the state, see you later, and single-handedly puts an end to the Delaware franchise. Incredible Celly of the year, good friend of mine. Literally the canoe right at center ice, and as he's not even finished doing the canoe, he stops, looks to his right, looks to the fans, and gives him a big Ric Flair. Woo!
I guess the ownership of Delaware has changed, I suppose, then, because I thought Joe Pace owned it last time I checked.
No, I guess I guess it's up for grabs. It's almost like the like North America, the New World, when the Europeans came over. It's yours if you want it. You just got to stay here.
Right. Yeah, no kidding.
No sales are final. Everything's up for sale. It's like so there's a thing called summer stock. Have you ever heard of summer stock in hockey, Dave?
No.
Okay, so summer stock is basically the second the season is over, anything and everything that the team owns in the locker room, in the arena, if it is not nailed down, it's up for grabs. Make sense?
Okay.
So, sticks, tape, shampoo, you name it, carpets, everything. If it's not nailed down, guys will take it. And I remember last year in Sweden, we finished our final game of the season. We had 3 Russians on the team. We don't even get back to the arena. Right, because the last home game was the last road game was pretty close, so we just drove ourselves. We come back to the arena. We have a jumbo, like a Costco case style of shampoo, like Head and Shoulders, like a 48 bottle pack. It's gone. Whole case is gone. The Russians took it back to the airport, and they didn't realize they're going to have to be paying extra on the overweight for the shampoo thing. But again, if it's not nailed down, it's going. It's going to be gone. So.
Well, it doesn't surprise me out of Russia. I'm trying to remember. There was a great story here in Winnipeg, because Winnipeg was one of the first teams to bring in teams from kind of the Eastern Bloc back in the day. And so it's okay, here's the keys to your apartment. There's where the rink is. Here's where the grocery store is. You're on your own. And he went to the grocery store, and he could not believe that there was an entire wall full of bread. And he thought it was a mistake, so he bought all of the bread, thinking like, I don't think they realized they left this much out, because back in the communist days of the Eastern Bloc, there was no way. You got your ration of like 2 slices of bread for the week, and that was it. You had to make those last. So he bought up every single loaf of bread that he possibly could out of that grocery store and took it home thinking, I hit the jackpot. This is amazing. I got all the bread I ever want for the rest of my life.
And it was on that day that he started a 30-day bender of bread pudding and French toast and nothing else for the next month.
The boys had to explain to him, like, no, you can go back tomorrow and it'll be restocked. Like, it's okay. You can get bread whatever you want.
Imagine they didn't tell him that. He goes back to the store. Oh my God, I have to buy it again.
I'm in a fever dream. I don't know what's happening.
There's so much bread. I don't know what to do with myself. I just want to give a quick shout out to.
Yeah, go for it.
I just want to give a quick shout out to Brian Wilson, goaltender in the for the Danbury Hat-Tricks. Guys dressed American League games, played in the East Coast and the Spill and the SP as well. Broke the Fedzino record for most wins by a goaltender in a single season with 31. Keep in mind we only play a 56 game schedule. So to Willie, shout out to you on breaking the record. I also want to say to you, just one final note, playing with Babs this season was really game changing for me, because I think as a goaltender, when your goalie partner is equal to you or less than, or like you have your opinions, it makes it difficult because you think you're better than them. You should be playing more games. But when your goalie partner with the best goalie in the league, hands down, it makes it very easy to accept that, hey, I'm on the bench and this is where I belong because that guy is so damn good. And it's also a great way to learn too. Like I learned lots of things from him, both from talking to him and also just observing on a day-to-day basis. And I want to say too, for the record, as great as a goalie as he is, people give him shit online. People don't like him. They have their opinions. I have never had an issue with him. I think he's a great guy. I would consider him a very close personal friend. And if ever needed anything, I'd always be there for him. And I think that's what made me so endeared to him, was that he was there for me. I was there for him. He's a great goaltender, and I think this is a really good relationship. And when you take that aside and you swap him in for somebody else, it makes it very, very difficult, because it's like, okay, I think I'm better than this guy. I'm way better than this guy. This guy also treats me like shit, and he's an asshole. Now I got to support this guy and have the spirit fingers on the bench, like, yay, So,
well, that's just to circle back to the NHL playoffs. That's one of the reasons why I love this Golden Knights Jet series so much, because you've got Connor Hellebuyck playing against his former understudy in Laurent Brossoit, who's starting for the Vegas Golden Knights, which amazes me because your boy Quickie sitting on the bench.
Did you hear about the text conversation between Hellebuyck and Brossoit or no?
No.
Okay, so apparently Laurent Brossoit was doing an interview and he said, yeah, I taught Connor everything he knows. It's like everything Bucky knows, like how to win Vezinas, all that stuff, all came from me. And so then one of the media reporters told Bucky that, and he says, funny. I feel like it's the other way around.
Perfect. Good.
I think somebody got a little rattled. Someone's in somebody else's cage there.
Well, I know that they're still very good friends, and they were good friends when they were on the same team. So, I mean, just the rivalry itself, I think, is a whole lot of fun, and it adds a little more to that game, obviously. And I mean, Mark Stone, who's a Winnipegger captaining the Las Vegas Golden Knights. There's a lot of really good storylines in there.
The Las Vegas Golden Knights are Team Manitoba. You got Zach Whitecloud, Mark Stone, Keegan Kolesar. You had Nolan Patrick. I think they had Cody Glass at one point in time. You just have all these Manitoba guys. I mean, obviously you have Kelly McCrimmon, the GM for Vegas, who's been recruiting from the Brandon Wheat Kings and whatnot, but it's the Winnipeg Jets versus Team Manitoba, also known as the Vegas Golden Knights. I wanted to tell one little quick story about Laurent Brossoit. So years and years ago, before he ended up playing for the Edmonton Oil Kings, so Laurent Brossoit's dad was diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis, and it's just a crippling disease. And his goal was, I want to play hockey at the level where I can make enough money to help my dad. And so he goes and plays for the Edmonton Oil Kings, signs the first NHL contract with the Calgary Flames. They give him $98,000, and that money went right to his dad to give him a better quality of life with the multiple sclerosis.
Amazing.
And obviously, incredible. He gets dished to the Oilers, back up there for 2 to 3 years, to the Jets 2 to 3 years, and now starting the playoffs to the Vegas Golden Knights. And just all he wanted to do was give his dad a better quality of life. Absolutely incredible. And I mean, if you look at the guy, you can tell. I don't need to tell you this already, but you can just look at him like, this guy does well for himself. He's married now. Bernie has a fiance, but before he had his fiance, the dude was doing very, very well for himself. Significantly better than I could ever do. I mean, he's just a really good looking guy. I mean, I look like a tree stump with a big nose and a mullet, so I might have to chop down the mullet down a little bit soon. But anyway, I digress. On the topic of mullets, why don't we do a little bit of a little talk about Kid Rock, our music feature of the week?
Wow, yeah, sure. Old Kid Rock. Yeah, I've never had the pleasure of meeting him, but watching his career kind of coming out of Detroit, Motor City, and coming onto the scene with Ba Wada Ba, and then just kicking down the door saying, I'm the American badass. And he was basically like a Stone Cold Steve Austin that could sing. Like just full attitude. It was incredible, and it just kind of fit the mold of other artists that had come out of Detroit, like Eminem, just that really kind of aggressive, in your face kind of style. And yeah, he's been great for the rock game. He's been a lot. Kid Rock is Kid Rock.
I would take Robert Ritchie, Kid Rock, over Eminem any day of the week. I put that online one time, and oh boy, the people in Detroit weren't happy with me. I was disowned.
You send you to the other side of 8 Mile and say that.
Yeah, they basically did that. Like, we're going to drop you off at 8 Mile. Say that to our face.
Yeah, good luck.
I love Eminem. The cops don't come here, by the way. But I started getting into Kid Rock, I guess, around the time when I signed with Motor City, and then also I noticed him doing a lot of interviews with different media outlets, and I saw him golfing with Trump, and I thought, I'll give him a listen. I know a song or two. I love Cowboy, great song. And then start listening, Devil Without a Cause, and then you start listening to the tracks and like the riffs and just the way the songs are brought together, and just this rap rock, like a more polished Limp Bizkit, I guess maybe you could say, with more singing, and incredible. I mean, Devil Without a Cause, great song. Cowboy, Bull God, Ba Wada Ba, the intro song we have in Motor City. They quick little story. So they cue all the lights off, just dark, and then these couple purple lights come down right over the tunnel of the walkway when we come out, and this purple smoke machine, and then you hear the ba with the ba da bang da bang, and then it starts getting loud, and then all of a sudden you hear, my name is Kid, and and then the do, and then the Motor City Rockers come out. It's just you got to be there for the show. It's incredible to walk out to Ba with the Ba, but also married to Pam.
When a team finds the right entrance music and it sounds good in the arena and they can get the right lights going and the pyro, it really sets the tone for a game. I mean, there's not a whole lot of home ice advantage anymore, and this is something that we can talk about later. But ever since the NHL went uniform with every rink being the exact same size, the exact same dimensions, the exact same glass, everything, you kind of lost a bit of that home ice advantage with don't go into the corners in the Garden, man. They cut off really quick, and those defensemen know how to play those angles. So you really kind of lost it. Baseball still has it with the length of their field and how high some of their walls are. So there's still a little bit of that there. But outside of the crowd, there really is no home ice advantage. But if you can really get an advantage with making sure you kick off the game right and getting the fans into it, that's really where your advantage is.
Absolutely agree. I mean, it's kind of tough in Motor City when you got like 200-300 people in the crowd. It's like, it's kind of quiet in here. But hey, none of my business. I tried to help. I'll leave it at that.
You got questions? I got answers.
Whether you want to hear them or not, I have lots of answers and ideas. But the intro song, when the guys walk onto the Motor City ice and I'm there on the bench with the Spirit Fingers, it's an awesome vibe. But Kid Rock, amazing artist. I'm glad he went rock country. Now he's kind of go back into his rock roots with that. Would you call it alternative or more like a metal rock kind of vibe?
He would have been part of that new rock kind of wave, like you said. You mentioned Limp Bizkit, Korn. He kind of came in around that same time, and he got lumped into that a little bit. But I think, you listen to a song called "Only God Knows Why," and the guy can write a ballad too. I think he's crossed that line of rock, rap, country. Yeah, he's just a good old boy. He's about as redneck as they come when it comes to music, and he does not shy away from it at all. So more power to him.
I mean, for Christ's sake, the dude was posting videos on Instagram of him taking a machine gun, an AR-15 to a 12-pack of Bud Light last week. So,
what's a Bud Light? Never heard of it.
Oh, it's like Snickers. You're not you when you're hungry. Or you're not you when you're hungry. Drink a Molson Canadian or Budweiser.
You go.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on from the politics talk, but I love Kid Rock, love the music, and I would put Kid Rock in the same category as a Sean Morgan from Seether, or even a Kurt Cobain or a Fred Durst.
Wow, that's high praise. Putting up there with Kurt, that's really high praise.
Well, I wish that they would sing more. Like don't get me wrong, every now and then I don't mind a nice scream from Fred Durst or Kurt Cobain or Sean Morgan, but the singing is incredible. Just sing for me, it's just so powerful and just I think he's very underrated. But anyway, we'll move on from.
If we're going to talk about singing, I'm really excited about the new Foo Fighters album. That's coming out. They just dropped a new single called Rescued, which sounds pretty good. And I think the name of the album is Here We Are Now, or Well, Here We Are. Something to that effect.
I may need to look for a new podcast co-host after I make this comment, and I completely understand if you never want to talk to me again. However, I feel like Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters have become everything that Kurt Cobain said he would never become as a rock and roll band. And now keep in mind, Kurt Cobain was a massive hypocrite. He would say one thing and do other things, but he always talked about not being like a mainstream rock band, and I feel like Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters are that, exactly to a T.
Yeah, well, again, Dave Grohl is not Kurt Cobain. Dave Grohl was a drummer in Nirvana, and now he's a front man, and maybe that's something that he did want. And he even had that attitude once upon a time. He's like, arena rock bands, blah, 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 blah. And then he became an arena rock band. He's like, this is actually pretty cool. Get to play to a lot of people, and it gets really loud, and I like it a lot.
It's true. I wonder what it would be like to be a rock star, to play in front of 50,000, 100,000 people and just rocking out and just the crowd screaming your song. Would be interesting. Something I'd never get to experience, but I can experience a couple thousand people yelling nasty things at me in Winston-Salem next season, or even at the Raising Cane's Arena in Baton Rouge. They have a capacity for 9,000 people, Dave.
I'm telling you,
there's your arena rock right there.
They're gonna fall in love. They're gonna fall in love with that team again. Especially when it gets hot out and you get to go inside of a rink, drink cheap beer, and watch NASCAR on ice. They're going to love it down there.
I don't know if this is considered tampering, but I would like to state for the record, I can stop pucks, I can mark it, I can make YouTube vlogs, and I can also drive the Zamboni. Did I have to ever tell you I worked as a Zamboni driver for 9 months before
What rink was that? That was here in Winnipeg, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was at the rink, the rink training center.
Yeah, the one down in McGilvery.
Yeah, the old one. It was awesome. Just drive straight, turn right. There was let's dive into that really quickly. Now, keep in mind, this is like 5-6 years ago. And so I'm working as a Zamboni driver, and it was so easy. It's, let's do a 7-minute flood, because it's a smaller rink than a normal size rink. And the next 53 minutes, I can do whatever I want. I could go to Sobeys and go grocery shop and bring them back, put them in the staff fridge, and then I got groceries to take home later that night. I could do whatever I want. I'd watch Titanic. I'd watch movies. I'd watch Jackass in between floods. There's even times on the weekends where things would get quieter as the night would go on, and all the staff and whatnot would go home. And so I'd bring dates to the arena. I'd give them Zamboni rides, like actual Zamboni rides.
Wow.
On the ice. So I would, the Zamboni would be going, and I'd have them sitting either or standing on the auger, or sitting on the wheel crank for getting snow out of the machine.
Yeah.
And just take a couple ladies for a ride, kind of dim the lights, but like, this is the Zamboni. Turn right, and we just go straight and right hand turns. There's no left hand turns here as a Zamboni driver. And
the only thing I can think of is that scene from Happy Gilmore where he takes her to the rink and My Endless Love is playing in the background.
So this is the Zamboni ride. Now let me show you my Zamboni, the little bony.
Oh, you're a charmer, Travis Ridgen. You are a charmer indeed.
There's a reason they told me in high school I put the Zam in Zamboni. How much time we got? We got a couple minutes left.
Yeah, we're kind of on point right here. But yeah, what else you want to cover? We got a whole bunch of things. I mean, we can talk about the Ron McLean stuff you wanted to. You can talk about I know how much you love trains. Yeah, I know you have an idea about how the NHL could start moving to trains.
Yes, let's do that. We'll finish off with the Don Cherry talk because I know it's going to get a little bit heated towards the end. But here's this idea. So we talked a couple weeks ago about how Canada so desperately needs some form of high-speed rail service, a high-speed train, because it's just awful. We're like a third world country as far as train travel goes. However, I was looking into this. 6 of the 7 Canadian NHL teams could travel by train. That the NHL talks about trying to be more environmentally friendly, trying to attract a new audience, trying to do all this kind of stuff. They take private jets everywhere. They take Air Canada. Every NHL team in Canada,
chartered planes, yeah,
chartered planes, including the Seattle Kraken. They also go Air Canada as well. And I thought, the guys play so many games. What if they started traveling by train? A little bit more travel time, a nice way to spread out in the train. Maybe go to the bar car, get a DC, a Diet Coke, grab a nice dinner. You got the dining car, and Skrillex, the dubstep band. They have an exclusive Via Rail train in Canada. So when they travel by Via Rail to every single stadium show. It's a true story, by the way.
Cool.
So the NHL, I think, could do that as well. The only exception being Calgary, because you could go Vancouver to Edmonton, Edmonton to Winnipeg, Winnipeg to Toronto, Toronto to Montreal, Montreal to Ottawa, all on the Via Rail network. Now, keeping in mind, to go Vancouver to Montreal would take you about 5 days, but you could do it. We add a little bit of a high-speed train network that would be maybe get it done in 2.5, 3 days. I mean, this summer when I'm in Halifax, game with Jack Hardigan, I'm going to be going Halifax and coming home. I don't know if I'm going to go the full route back to Vancouver by train, maybe go to Toronto and or Winnipeg. But coast to coast is 5.5 days from Halifax to Vancouver. Like, why can't we get that done in 2 days? Right?
Yeah, well, even with the schedule now, when you're doing a swing like that, I mean, you want to get as much time in the city that you're about to play in, or I think the schedule's a little bit too tight. I could see that working in maybe the Atlantic or the Metro for overnight games, because keep in mind, most of the guys that play in the Atlantic Division rarely spend the night in a hotel room. Like when they're playing inside of their division, they're in their own bed that night. It's only when they're going on a Western road swing or wherever they're going that they have to stay in hotels for long road trips. But if they're just playing, if New York is playing New Jersey, like in the first round here right now, it's half an hour away. Like it's a half-hour drive from MSG to PNG, whatever the one is over in the Garden State there, but literally half an hour. So I mean, you could be
Prudential Center, yeah.
Prudential Center, yeah. You could literally be at home in the afternoon, go home after morning skate, hang out, drive to the rink on the other side of the river, and then you're back at home in your own bed. I mean, that's a pretty good deal playing in that division.
Or take a charter to the train station. The train can just buzz you down because they have high-speed trains down that East Coast, the Amtrak US line, and that would be really efficient. I mean, I looked the other day. You get outside of that East Coast kind of hub, it gets really, really difficult. I mean, let's say like the Blackhawks go to Los Angeles, that's a 2.5 day train trip. That's kind of a little bit long. Or you go to Los Angeles or Seattle to Louisiana. I know there's no Louisiana teams, but let's say there was, it's a 2.5, 3 day trip. So I don't know how feasible it is. I did look. I put every FPHL team into the Amtrak website to find out location-wise. Now, there's not a single team, except for the Motor City Rockers, that would have a train hub. Like there's apparently a very small train hub in Detroit, but all the other ones you'd have to take the train from wherever you start to almost where you finish, and then get like a Sprinter van or get like a bus to get you the rest of the way. But it would be a lot cheaper probably than spending $4,000, $5,000 a day on the road for a bus, right? The guys get more comfortable. You're not jammed up like sardines. I think that's the worst thing. I mean, it's tough to ask your team to perform when you put them on a 12-hour bus, 14-hour bus, and then, all right, let's go morning skate. We'll play again tonight. We'll play tomorrow, and then we'll come home. Like, you get the boys in the train. They go have a nice dinner. I know Joe Pace and I talked about this. And if Joe Pace and I do own a team, we are going to be an Amtrak sponsored team. And we're going to travel by train, but obviously I'm going to need a little bit deeper pockets to make that happen. I know Joe Pace has a couple connections, including Barry Soskin, who's got the Mississippi Seawolves. He's going to be owning the Baton Rouge team, Binghamton, and then Port Huron as well, and Carolina too. Like, the guy owns a monopoly over every Fed team. But
well, as Ryan Reynolds said, as Ryan Reynolds said when he was trying to buy the Ottawa Senators, I need a sugar daddy or a sugar mama. Hey, I need someone with deep pockets to pull this off. So yeah, it's not cheap, man. We've talked about it before.
I need somebody to help. So if you have money, you could spot a couple bucks to purchase a team. You could also join the Patreon page for this podcast, which is $5 a month at the minimum. You can pledge as much as or as little as you want. We got exclusive Trav rookie cards from my time in Motor City in Sweden. That's a perk. That's free on the house. We're going to have some Slangin The Bizkit sweaters, just blacked out with a nice little logo for the summer. And then a collector's set of the cards as well. Like shiny versions of my VAU days, my Motor City, my Sweden, both teams, my junior days, all that stuff. It's going to be a nice little collector's box set coming to the Patreon members. Obviously, it's going to be like certain price points for certain perks. But and if you have any ideas for perks that you want to see, leave a comment down below. But yeah, there's definitely some exciting stuff for the Patreon members.
Have a great week, everybody. Enjoy the Stanley Cup playoffs. I know I certainly have been. And if you're listening in the Winnipeg or the Prairie, anywhere in the Prairies, God, I hope this weather's almost over soon. Brutal.
Are we going to save the Don Cherry talk for next week?
I think we should save the Don Cherry talk for next week. Yeah, Don Cherry and Ron McLean. We're going to revisit that little dust-up that happened there a few years ago.
Yeah, okay. Let us know in the comment section. Are you Team Cherry or are you Team Ron McLean? I'd like to know. Anyway, on behalf of Mr. Dave Wheeler and myself, we'd like to thank you for listening to the Slangin' The Bizkit podcast. We do new episodes every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. in Winnipeg, 9 a.m. in Calgary, 8 on the West Coast, San Francisco, Vancouver, Los Angeles. We'd like to say, again, we look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, Mr. Wheeler, take us home. Final words, closing comments.
Go Jets, go!
I want to wear your skin at my birthday party, Connor.